Welcome back, everybody, to Energize Impact. Unfortunately, this is going to be our final episode of the 2019 year. There will be some more to come in the future, so stay posted, stay up to date with the social medias to find that. Social medias will be linked beneath. But let's go ahead and dive into what we're going to be talking about today on this episode. It's going to be structured a little bit differently compared to the previous 3 episodes. We're looking at doing the first segment with the help from Julia McRoberts, who has been for years playing around with her nutrition, playing around with her diet, switching from vegetarian to vegan to where she's at now, which is a stable pescatarian diet. We're going to explain what exactly those 3 diets are, as well as we're going to just ask her some questions and have her explain her personal opinions on it, as well as her stories with these diets and how they affected her health and her output in various different aspects. And then the second segment we're doing today is going to be a Q&A with my man's Brandon Wells, who's going to be helping me to ask me the questions that a lot of us probably have, but we have nobody to ask. It's going to be basic questions on nutrition and fitness coming from the average person that wants to just find a way to become the best possible version of themselves, the healthiest possible version of themselves, and just overall find a way to grow past where they're at right now, whether it be a plateau or just looking to exceed expectations. So let's go ahead and get into it right now. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this one. We're going to be discussing in this first segment, like we said, vegan, pescatarian, and vegetarian diets with the help of Julia McRoberts, who personally has tried and lived by each of these diets. So what we're going to start with first, before we introduce Julia into the podcast, is we're going to talk about what these diets actually are. Obviously, we all have heard of vegetarian and vegan, I'm sure of. If not, get out of the rock that you're living from under and just go ahead and explore. It's all around us, man. We see it in the supermarkets saying these are vegan friendly, these are vegetarian friendly. So what exactly is this if you don't know what it is? A vegetarian diet is kind of the basic diet that's been around for a while. We've seen it implemented by a lot of different celebrities claiming that this is the health all, fix all type diet. And a lot of people are on this just because they feel the animal cruelty within the marketing and butchering of these animals. And that's why they switch to it. So a vegetarian diet is simple. It's just you don't eat meat, you don't eat any sort of animals. Taking it a step further, we have the vegan diet, which is where you don't consume anything at all that came from an animal. So I'm talking, you don't even eat honey, dude. That is wild, right? To think that you have to look so carefully to make sure that there are 0 animal byproducts in the food you are consuming. And some people even take it a step further, to take it outside of the nutrition aspect. They won't even wear animal clothing. They won't wear anything that's been made by animals or from animals. So, man, you can't even have goat cheese. I don't even want goat cheese, but, like, being a vegan, how you about to tell me I can't have this type of cheese? You know what I'm saying? But where we're at right now with Julia is she told me that she's recently been doing, not so much recently, but for the past couple of years been doing a pescatarian diet, which when we look at that, it's a step above vegetarian. It's a little easier to maintain because whereas you're still cutting out the meats, it's mostly you just don't eat land animals. So they are still able to eat fish and shrimp, fried shrimp, shrimp scampi, the whole 9. We heard it from Bubba on Forrest Gump. There's a million different types of ways to eat shrimp. But so that's the thing with pescatarian is you can still eat these little creatures and critters that come from the sea. So you're still getting your omega-3s and you're still getting all the essentials. It's just you're kind of lowering your creatine levels that you're intaking from eating these products like beef and chicken. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring Julia in to talk to us and help us understand what it's like being on these diets. So Julia, with the first question I got to ask you, out of these 3 diets, because you told me you've done all of them, which ones seem to work and be the most beneficial for you?
For me, it was definitely pescatarianism. It's the one I've been on the longest, about a year and a half to close.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
And for me personally, with having an iron deficiency, it was a lot easier for me to bring fish back into my diet instead of supplementing more iron pills and working through less organic ways to get my iron levels back up. I felt that my energy was able to stay up a lot longer for doing as much as I was doing at the time, especially through high school when it came from school to track to riding after that, and then usually also going to the gym. It was a lot easier for me to maintain my energy throughout the day.
All right, sick. So what you're telling me is like with these diets that you've tried in the past, a lot of the problems came from just having to supplement the things that you weren't getting into your diet, which made it difficult to maintain the vegan and the vegetarian aspect. And keeping the fish in with the pescatarian diet has allowed you to exit and take away some of those supplements so that you're still getting it as naturally as you possibly can. So, what do you feel was a kind of telltale sign with the vegan and vegetarian diets that things weren't going right and you needed to change something?
So vegetarian was the first option that I went through. The situation for me was a lot of beef, pork, chicken was really just starting to upset my stomach. It was starting to make me really sick at certain points. So for me, it was just an easier option to cut it all out completely. At the time, I wasn't fully aware of being a pescatarian, so fish was excluded also. And at the time, it was just, I was really tired throughout my days. I realized I was not getting nearly as many calories as I thought, because when you eliminate those food groups, it's a lot of greens, a lot of fruits, and it can be really hard to get your calories up when certain amounts feel so fulfilling, but they're really not meeting certain groups.
Oh, yeah, and we definitely see that. So, for example, if you take a basic picture of how a stomach holds certain nutrients and certain foods that we consume, we see that 80 calories of protein is going to fill up a lot less of the stomach as 80 calories from vegetables such as broccoli or even spinach. Those will completely fill the stomach, whereas you will sit there and be full and be satisfied off of eating a lot less just because these foods are a lot more dense and sit a lot heavier in our stomach. So that's going to lead me to my last question of this segment for you, Julia. And this is kind of crucial because we see a lot of people. You took this route and took these measures in your diet because of a reaction from your body, but there's a lot of people that are trying these vegetarian and these pescatarian and these vegan diets because it's simply a trend or a fad. Do you have anything that you want to recommend to these people that are looking to just go ahead and go full send into these diets without anything? Like, what is your disclaimer and your, hey, beware of this when it comes to this?
Well, I mean, it's certainly not for everyone. Everyone has different lifestyles and different energy levels that they need to kind of conform themselves to. Definitely with going vegetarian, I mean, one, it's great for the environment. And if you're thinking about in that sense, not supporting large manufacturers of these animals, but it's, once I said, like, it's not for everyone. It wasn't for me. I found that it was a lot easier for me to be pescatarian, where I'm still able to get my iron levels up through fish. With being vegan, I honestly really enjoyed it, but I used it more as a reset for my body to kind of eliminate a lot of things from my diet and just have a very simple diet before reintroducing myself to pescatarian. So I guess a forewarning to it would be to really understand your body and listen to your body when it comes to if you're not getting enough of something. Where for me it was iron, it could be for someone else they're just not meeting the energy that they need to get throughout their day.
And you heard it from somebody who is a first timer on this podcast. What we've been reiterating all of these podcasts, finding what works for you. Don't sit there and assume that it's going to work for you just because it worked for somebody else and you see somebody else having success with it. Your body's going to react completely different than that. So make sure you take the precaution and you take the steps to understanding what exactly you are about to put your body through. So without any other explanations, I want to sit there and say thank you, Julia, for coming out and talking to me about this and helping give the listeners an understanding of what these three diets are and how to implement them. And then we are about to break off into our second segment. We got our guest, Brandon Wells, who has come up to me and asked before questions regarding nutrition and how he can elevate his game. So I asked if he would join me today just so that he can ask these questions and I can get it on record so that, because I'm sure a lot of people have similar questions to Brandon and want to know the same things that he does. So I think it would be useful for him to ask that on air. So thank you again for coming and meeting with me, Brandon. And let's just go ahead and dive right into this.
All right, Drake. Well, thank you for having me on. First off, I'm not the world's biggest nutrition buff. It's kind of the reason you asked me on, is so I could get some of those simple questions that most of the people out there might want to hear. This first one is very true to me because I hit the weight room at least 4 days a week, mostly 5. I'm really up track with working out. I'm still not in great shape, but I'm losing some weight. But pretty much I just want to ask, how important is dieting? Because my personal experience is I struggle with it.
That's a big issue with a lot of people. We see results coming from the gym, but we don't see the top-notch results that we're aspiring for and we're looking for that are going to help us stay consistent and stay dedicated to our journey. So dieting is kind of crucial, but when we look at the definition of dieting, we see that it is to reduce your caloric intake as well as even hop on trends that we see. So like we have the keto diet, which is just a high-fat, moderate protein, and a low-carb diet. When it comes to dieting, you don't have to do anything too crazy. You don't have to do anything too drastic. The biggest thing for me personally is I still indulge. I still like my pizza, my ice cream, my sweets, and everything like that. But the big thing is understanding moderation.
So what you're telling me is no more 2 a.m. trips to Taco Bell?
Yeah, that might not help, man.
All right. Keep that in mind next time. Give us a little for dummies type of outlook of how calories work, because I feel like that's the number one crucial thing that people sometimes fail to understand when trying to make a diet for themselves. So just kind of give us the lowest, just dumb it down for us. What are calories and how do they work?
All right, so I'll dumb it down this way. So we have that base value of 2 grand is what you should be sitting at. That's your base metabolic rate for most individuals, where you're not having crazy energy outputs that are going to allow you to burn through the calories. That's just what your body normally burns to keep you at the base level you're at. So at 2,000 calories, you got to look at your carbs and your lipids. So your carbs are going to make up most of your diet when you come to having a 2,000 calorie diet. It's going to be 45 to 65% of your diet is what you want to be receiving through carbs. So that kind of breaks down to anywhere from 225 to 335 calories from carbs a day. And to break that down even further, 1 cup of white rice is about 45 grams of carbs. You supplement that through your meals as well as your proteins and your lipids. When it comes to your proteins, you're going to be wanting to consume about 1 gram of protein per body pound. Most of the world is on that kilogram scale. So for example, if you're about 140 pounds, you're going to be 70 kilograms. 1 gram per pound. And to break that down, some sort of food, a 6-ounce chicken breast is 56 grams. The common myth is it only digests about 20 grams of protein per sitting, but you have a lot more leeway than people perceive. So you can digest and you can consume and actually benefit from about up to 30 grams of protein per meal. So you want to kind of space your protein out as well with your carbs. And then when it comes to your lipids, which are your fatty acids, you're going to be looking at about 78 to 89 grams off of a 2,000 calorie diet.
All right, Drake, thank you for that rundown. Got another question for you here. So, I mean, obviously this one doesn't impact me, but let's say I've never had a workout plan before, but I really want to start working out. I really want to start improving my health. How do I start that?
When I started, I had my sports team, I had my football team, my wrestling team helping me learn workouts and everything like that. And some people don't have that. So if you're just somebody that's just really never been active and wants to get involved with it, my recommendation is start small, start building the foundation, which is just looking at videos, looking at different people who are credible within the fitness industry and seeing what they're doing form-wise, because that's the most crucial part. Is form is so important because that's what's going to allow your muscles to be stimulated through the entire workout because of the stretching and the contractions. And when you create a workout plan, you need to build that foundation of understanding what each workout does and what each workout hits. And then from there, you can tailor it towards yourself. So if you say you can only make it to the gym 3 times a week. Say you can only make it 3 times a week. You need to set your split up to where you hit every body part and don't neglect anything. So for example, you're going to want to train your legs with your calves and your core. And then when you're doing your chest workout, because everybody wants to build that broad chest and that strong looking chest, you're going to supplement with your secondary muscles that are generally activated in your chest movements, which are your triceps and your shoulders. When it comes to back and biceps, and you're going to build around that until you get comfortable. And if you have more time in the gym, you can break it down a little bit more so you can work more intricately on that muscle. So for example, if you have a 5-day split, you can break it down to having legs on one day, chest and triceps, back and biceps, and then your shoulders by itself. And that 5th day, you can decide, what's my weak point? Is my weak point my back? Is it my chest? Is it my shoulders? What's my weak point, and add that in for a 5th day and supplement it to where you have your rest days. Because when you're first starting out, you never want to go 7 days a week. Your body needs rest. Your body needs to recover, because that's what's going to be building the muscle. That's what's going to allow your body to heal and recover at an optimal level based off of your nutrition and your sleep. When it comes to starting out, man, start small, build the foundation, and that's going to build you for success in the long run.
Yeah. And finally, what is the process of goal setting? And let's say I reach my goal. What do I do then once I have reached my first goal?
Well, the thing about goal setting is you always want to be looking for that next thing. You never want to allow yourself to look short term, because that's when we get the satisfaction of, oh, hey, say I'm 250 pounds and I want to get down to 200 and I hit 200. If I don't continue to set smaller goals along that way, I'm going to become complacent. I'm going to be like, all right, sweet, I got down to 200, and then I'm going to break away from what I've been doing and that grind that I've been on because I reached the result and I'm not setting another goal. You always want to be looking at, okay, this is where I'm going, this is the direction I'm going. I have these little steps along the way that I have to take to make it. Now, when I get there, do I want to stay there, or do I want to continue to grow, continue to evolve? So have that big one in mind. Continue to grind and be satisfied with each goal. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen quick. It's going to take time. So that's why the importance and the stress should fall on the little goals. And then once you hit those, man, just keep building. Find where you need to grow. Find where you need to reach, man.